But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness.
Have you ever really stopped to think about where conflict comes from? I'm not just talking about the big stuff like wars you see on the news, but the fights and the friction in our own lives, right? Well, today we're going to dive into this incredible ancient text that gives a startlingly clear diagnosis. It frames the whole thing as a war, not of armies, but of two competing wisdoms.
So let's just kick things off with this huge question. What does it actually mean to be wise? I mean, really, is it about how many books you've read? Having a super high IQ? Or is it something way deeper? Something you can only really see in how a person lives their life?
We're looking at the ancient letter of James, and its big argument is that there isn't just one kind of wisdom. No, it says there are two. And these two types of wisdom are in a constant battle, shaping everything from our private thoughts to our public conflicts. Let's start with the first path. This is the one that, according to James, always, and I mean always, leads to chaos. The text calls this a wisdom that is born from below.
And what's wild is just how blunt the description is. This isn't just a misguided idea, it's described as earthly, meaning it's totally focused on the here and now. It's unspiritual. The original Greek word, psyche, kind of points to something that just comes from our natural, raw human instincts, not from a divine place. And then, get this, it's even called demonic, tracing its origin straight to the very forces that love to create division and chaos.
So, what's fueling this kind of wisdom? The text points a finger at two things going on inside of us: bitter envy, that corrosive jealousy for what someone else has, and selfish ambition, that raw drive to get ahead no matter who you have to step on. See, these aren't outside forces, they're fires burning inside the human heart.
And the text makes this incredibly direct claim, like a law of physics. It says, where you find these two attitudes, you will find disorder, chaos, and instability. The Greek word here is akatastasia, and that doesn't just mean a little messy, it means total upheaval. It's presented as a guaranteed outcome.
But okay, that's not the only way. There is another path, and it leads to a completely different reality. This is the path of peace, a wisdom that the author says is a gift from above.
Now, unlike that chaos-driven wisdom, this one isn't about bragging or winning arguments. It's totally practical. It's proven not by what you say, but by living a good life. And it shows up in actions that are rooted in this deep humility, a gentleness that comes straight from its divine source.
And just look at the kind of person it creates. It starts with being pure, having a clear heart. And from there, it just flows into being peace-loving, considerate, and submissive, which really means being willing to yield for the sake of harmony. It's full of mercy, it's impartial, and it's sincere. You can see how each one of these builds on the last to create a character that brings people together instead of tearing them apart.
The metaphor the text uses here is just beautiful. Living this way doesn't just mean there's an absence of fighting. It's a positive, creative act. It's called a harvest of righteousness, a real, tangible result that's carefully grown by people who are actively planting seeds of peace in their lives.
So here you have it, right next to each other. On one side, wisdom from above. It's a gift, its root is humility, and its fruit is peace. On the other side, wisdom from below. It's an earthly impulse, rooted in envy and ambition, and its fruit is chaos. I mean, the contrast could not be more stark.
Okay, so we've got these two opposing wisdoms, but this is the crucial part. This is where the theory connects directly to our real lives. The text now pivots from these big ideas straight to the messy reality of our fights and our quarrels.
The author asks this question that just cuts right to the bone. He says the source of all our external conflicts, from huge wars down to petty arguments, it's not our circumstances. It's the desires that are already at war inside each of us.
Now, there's a fancy theological word for this, hamartiology. But you can just think of it as a really profound psychological insight. Our outward fights are just the symptoms of a much deeper internal battle, the battle of our own desires, our hedonai, these cravings for pleasure and fulfillment.
And then the text just breaks down the progression with this chilling simplicity. It all starts with the desire that isn't met. Then that desire starts to curdle into coveting, this intense, gnawing longing. And when we still can't get what we want, that's when the internal battle spills out into open conflict.
And here is the twist. The text says a lot of times we don't have what we need simply because we don't ask. But even when we do ask, we ask with the wrong motives. We're still being driven by that wisdom from below, just trying to satisfy our own selfish wants, not to create peace or righteousness.
So this brings us right to the heart of it all. It's not about being smart or dumb, right or wrong in an argument. It's about making a choice. Which wisdom are you going to live by? So, at the end of the day, the big takeaway is this. Wisdom isn't just some idea in your head. It's defined by its results. It's a practical force that is constantly creating the world around you, either a world of disorder and evil or one of peace and righteousness. When you choose your wisdom, you are literally choosing your world. So, as we wrap up, here's the question to really think about. Take a look at your life, your relationships, your inner world. Are the seeds you're planting today rooted in envy and ambition, or are they rooted in humility and peace? Because whatever you're planting today, well, that's going to be the harvest of your tomorrow.